Okay, we're going to do a little rich site summary, real simple syndication demonstration using the news aggregator Inoreader. So as we know, RSS stands for rich site summary, real simple syndication. There are a variety of ways of expressing it, but the acronym is RSS. And what we're going to look at is one of many readers. It's called Inoreader. So the most popular reader was Google's Reader, G-Reader, but it no longer exists. It was antithetical to Google's business model. Another precursor of Google Reader was Bloglines, and now you can get Inoreader, NewsBlur, Feedly. There are a variety of RSS readers. We're going to be working with Inoreader, so I want to show you how that works today very quickly. So Inoreader, we can sign in here, sign in with your NYIT Google account. So let me quickly sign in. Inoreader. So you see I have a nice little password manager there, makes my life easy. So here's the feed reader. So let me show you how it's set up and how you're going to do that. Now mine is a little bit different because when you log in, I have a few advanced features because I do subscribe to a version of Inoreader, and I'm not so sure that you would be subscribing. You're going to be using the basic edition, but it's going to give you a sense for what you can accomplish using a feed reader. Pardon me. Now, Cory Doctorow, the blogger and writer for, fiction writer, blogger for Boing Boing, he said aptly that consuming content in RSS format is like drinking a glass of water through a fire hose, right? And you're going to see what Cory's talking about in a second. So right now on the left-hand side, you'll notice I have a number of folders. So here's my critical folder. Here is my tools folder, my social. So I have a variety of folders, and each of these folders includes a number of feeds that I subscribe to, right? So I have a variety of feeds that I subscribe to, and I'm going to also show you how to subscribe to feeds. Now, if you look at the numbers, right, 35, 1, 38, these are the number of articles I have within each of these folders. So the setting is here. I can toggle the gear, and I'm only showing updated subscriptions. So once I read the content, it'll go down 35 down through 0, right? So here's my critical, and if I key over, I'm showing updated subscriptions. So I have 35 subscriptions, and that's the content number, right? So in critical are things that I deem essential for me to read. So these are the feeds that I've curated, that I've identified as being significant. Now, if you recall, I said that it's a good idea to create a Twitter list called tools, and you might include the Twitter profiles of tools that you yourself use, right? So it could be the Twitter profile for, say, one of the Google accounts that would teach you tips and tricks on using Google search. It could be the Twitter profile for If This Then That or Zapier or any tool that you use. Now here I've included some RSS feeds from tool blogs, right? Same applies. Here I have social filters. So you might notice the Boing Boing icon here, or the Digo rather icon here. Here's a pinboard icon, Vimeo RSS feed. Here's something from Pocket, which I'll get into later. So these are social feeds, right? Social filters. So essentially I have a variety of networks whose feeds I'm pulling into my feed reader. Then I have folders for various subjects. So here's attention, education, technology. Your subjects will differ depending on what it is that your cares are, right? What your points of focus are. Here's one that I call bubblegum, right? Bubblegum is where I go for entertainment. So aptly named bubblegum. When I visit this folder and consume the contents, I know what I'm getting into, right? It's mainly a distraction intended to entertain me. I have one called beta, so these are feeds that I'm trying out. So here's the Reddit feed for New York City. Here's a new blog that I've subscribed to, and I'm just testing these feeds out, seeing if they're of interest to me, if I'm going to keep them. Now, if I decide to keep something, wonderful, it's great. If I should decide that I don't want to keep it in another folder once I've tested it out here, well, maybe I want to drag it down, right? And I want to posit it in this Zextra folder, Zextra. So I've moved that over to Zextra. Now, if you're asking me what Zextra is, right, I'm including feeds for sites that I have no intention on staying up to date with. Now, why is that the case? Because essentially I'm creating a search engine, right? All of these extra feeds, and there are many in there. So if I, look at the content, there are likely hundreds of feeds in there that I've included. I can search them. So let's go up to the search interface and let's try something. I don't know. We could try, what do we have? iPad, laptop, literacy. Let's try literacy. We could be anything, right? So I'm doing a search within my feeds, within my RSS feeds, and I'll show you how to navigate the feeds in a second. So I have 811 articles, right? Inclusive of all my feeds. And then over here, under all articles, well, maybe I just want to search in Zextra. So if I wanted to probe these feeds that I find moderately interesting, right? Instead of getting rid of them, perhaps I can include them in Zextra, so it's somewhat chronological, Z extra, right? And I have 374 articles. Now I could process these rather quickly. Now, how would I do that, you ask? So let me hit H on my keyboard, right? Next article, J, previous article, K. Next item, Shift J, previous item, Shift K. So these are our friends, right? So we're always interested in keyboard shortcuts. We're going to learn them one at a time. In Inoreader, pressing H, right? Here's my list. Next article, JK, right? The only other thing I would mention is that you can open an article in the background, B, and I've integrated Pocket, my reader Pocket. I've integrated with the Y command here, Y command. So there are a variety of these shortcut keys. They're fantastic. Hit H, you can see them. So now that I've done a search in literacy, here's what I can do. I can go down, right? And I can look. Singapore Media and Information Literacy Initiatives. Interesting. The Guardian, View, and Civil Service. So I can process these feeds rather quickly. So what are recent articles? Transliteracy. Well, that seems interesting. Transliteracy, spatial literacy. Who's it from? Sheila Weber. Now, if I wanted to read this, I could click B, and what's going to happen is it's going to open up in the background. So I've clicked B, and here it is in the background. So now I'm looking at the blog, right? Alternately, if I wanted to read this, instead of clicking B, I could click, you recall, Y. And what's Y going to do? Adding to Pocket. So it saved it in my Pocket reader. So let me show you. If I open up a new tab, I'm going to click Read. I'm going to click on Pocket. And Pocket is my reading service. And lo and behold, here is the article in Pocket. So Pocket has all of the articles that I saved for reading in the future over the course of time. And in Pocket, I can also generate an RSS feed. So an example would be, I could provide you with an RSS feed of all my Pocket editions, right? So you see how that works. So here, let's just do a few more. I can go through, right? And you'll see, I have 20 links here. So 4 short links. And these are from O'Reilly Radar, which is quite interesting. Conference Literacy. So I'm probing my feeds with a search, and I'm processing articles very quickly. Survey on the use of ACR, visual literacy competency. Well, maybe I want that. I'll hit B, and I can open it up in the background, right? So that's how I would use Extra. Now, typically what I'll do is I'll enter, and you don't have to do this every day. You could do it once a week. You could do it once a month. It doesn't matter, right? You've curated RSS feeds that are unique to some of your goals, some of your objectives, subjects that you've decided that you want to focus on for one reason or another. So I'm going to go to critical, and let me process with JK, right? So let me go down, contrasting LMS adoption. Is that interesting? Secret edu influencers, blockchain diplomas. Oh, that's interesting, blockchain diplomas. I don't know, maybe I want to read that. Let's hit B, right? Well, let me jump down to the next one. I'm going to hit Shift J, and I'm down in Tools. Shift J, I'm in Social Filters. Shift J, I'm in Attention. How do I get other people to do GTT? Well, interesting enough. Now, you notice that I just clicked J and I processed the article. And if you look to the left, right, Attention doesn't have any articles left. So when I click on Education, Attention will disappear. Why did it disappear? Because it's been processed, right? Remember, I'm only showing updated feeds. Okay, now really quickly, if I wanted to, I could also search. So let's search for literacy, and then you recall it's searching all of the articles, and then we can adjust what folder we want to look at. But I have this create active search. So if I click on create active search, then what's happened here, and this is an advanced function, so you're not going to see it in your Inoreader, but it is an advanced function that I want you to know about. I have a literacy search here. So at any given time, I can click literacy and it's going to provide me, right? It's going to perform a search, right? It's a persistent search, so it's persistently searching all of my feeds for a particular search string. So you can see how powerful that is. All right, now what I want to do is show you how to subscribe to something. So let's give it a shot here. Let's try. Now, in terms of different publications, right, they differ in terms of their relationship with RSS. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a search. So Economist magazine publication RSS, and here is the listing of RSS feeds in the Economist. So what you're looking for is you're looking for this orange square icon, right, with the notice that there's, this is the official icon, but notice that there is the Wi-Fi, the orange, and the notice that there's a little Wi-Fi icon here. So typically this is where people get hung up with RSS. If I click on China, so I want the print edition RSS feed for China. So these are articles within The Economist that have been classified as correlating with China. So I click on China, and then up here I have the RSS feed. So you see it has .xml at the top, .xml, right? Most people look at this and they're, oh my goodness, what does this mean to me? It's nonsensical. This is where most people get hung up. Now, what I would say to you is you can copy this, right? Or I can back up. And now that I know that this is an XML feed, I could perhaps right click, copy link address. I can head back to my feed reader, go to search or subscribe, paste it in, add feed from Economist. And you see here, China, RSS, XML. Great. Let's quickly add that. So now what do I have? I have 6 articles, right, that correlate with China, that have been classified with the term China, and they all appear in this particular issue of The Economist, or in The Economist RSS stream, I guess you would call it. So I can process them rather quickly, right? I can go here, JJ, I'm going down, political screening, China political screening, Tsinghua University, and if I wanted to read anything, I could hit B, and then of course it would go into the background where I could read it here. Or in addition to that, look at this, you've reached your article limit. Well, I'm sure we could find that on the internet using the NYT Journal Locator, or sometimes searching through Google is a different go around. Or if I wanted to, I could hit Y, in which case it's going to add it to Pocket. But look at this, I have now an article feed from The Economist of articles that correlate or have been categorized with the keyword China. So let me just put that in beta for now, right? So let me show you something else. Let's go to Digo. So we've been to Digo before, and let's go back. And if we want, we can go to our Digo group. So let's hop into our Digo group, right? And you know what, with Digo group, let's go to Digo Education, right? Digo Education. To be honest, I don't know if I've subscribed to this RSS feed. We're going to find out in a second. And look on the right, lo and behold, Digo Education RSS feed, right? So I can click on that. Here's the RSS feed. I'm going to grab that link. I'm going to head back, subscribe, put it in there. I'm going to click enter. And now I've subscribed to the Digo RSS feed, right? And I can zip through these. So 19, 18, what do we have? Classroom innovations, high power attainers. So I can skip through this rather quickly. Now, if I wanted to change the view in the top right, I could just say, you know what, give me a list view, right? If you prefer to search like this, and you're going to have to decide what you deem to be overwhelming or not, right? So I've included 2. Let me put this in the beta here too. We're just going to keep it in the beta. All right, now I want to show you one more thing. And this thing that I'm going to show you, it comes from the library website, right? Now, a lot of people don't know this, and I don't use this as frequently, right? I use it infrequently, but a lot of people don't know that you can go to a deep web resource, a database. So let's load one right now. And we could try, I don't know, we could try Academic Search Complete. Let's give it a shot, Academic Search Complete. I'm being asked to log in because I'm off site. Let's try and log in here. And here we are in Academic Search Complete. So maybe I wanted to search for mindfulness. Why not? Mindfulness as relates to, we'll say, I could say education, let's say learning. Education, learning, right? We already know about the iterative process of constructing searches. So here's the search that I'm going to try. You know what? I could say, I don't know if mindfulness is a subject heading. Let's go mindfulness in title, and let's try subject as learning, right? Let's give this a shot. So we're searching an NYIT Deep Web Resource Academic Search Complete, right? ASC is the acronym that you often hear. So if I scroll down, what's the first thing that you notice? If you look to the left, RSS icon. Wow, RSS icon, right? This is interesting. If you click on that, right, look at this. You've generated an RSS icon. Now, the only thing I would say about this is you're going to want to create this. It's in the form of an RSS. Frequency, once a day, fine. Articles published within the last year, fine. All right, let's save this alert. And it's saved the alert as an RSS format. Now, I can go back here, and what am I going to do? Paste it in, right? Let's just paste it in, add the feed. Now, what I would say for this is that we have created the feed, and it says no feeds found. We've created the feed, no feed. When you do create a feed in a database, when you create a feed, very often, not always, but very often, the database publisher, there's a time lag, and it takes time for their system to create this particular feed, right? Because it's a persistent search that you're creating. It's a unique kind of alert, and it may take some time, but that's one strategy, right? So there are others. I mean, you will find feeds in IEEE Explorer. If you're interested in engineering, you will find feeds in different government economics departments. I'm trying to think of one, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but there are a variety of government sources that provide RSS feeds. There are a variety of deep web databases that provide RSS feeds. There are a variety of publications that provide RSS feeds. There are a variety of social networks that provide RSS feeds. So if you keep your eyes open, you're going to see this little link right here, right? Now, garbage in, garbage out, right? So we've got to protect our attention as much as we can. And the way that we do that is to organize our feed reader. Now, no two phones look alike, right? If you look at your cell phones, and if you were to loan your cell phone to a friend, it might be useless to them, right? Because they don't understand the interface. It's all unique. Feel free to have your experience within your feed reader be unique, but if you can prioritize your attention in such a way that you're focusing on different subjects, you're focusing on tools, right? It's going to make the experience a little bit different, right? A little bit different. So I think that provides you with a really great overview of using a feed reader. And you notice that there's a lot of content that you can consume. So it's incredible that instead of having to go and search these different publications, right, I can search all of the publications from one application, right? One application. So if I wanted to keep abreast of, to keep up to date in an area, so I'll just say with regards to libraries, right? Very quickly, I can go here, right? Perhaps once a week, perhaps once a month, it's up to me. And I can just process these really quickly, right? Really quick library feed, journal academic. I see exactly what's going on in an area that's of interest to me as an individual. So your areas of interest will obviously be different, right? Now, I want to show you one final thing, and that's if you go over here to the preference pane, let's go to the preference pane, and you'll notice that there are rules, right? Now, again, I can set up a rule. I don't particularly want to do too much of this, right? Too much heavy lifting, and then I'm going to have to monitor. But what I can say is perhaps here, I can create a search for mindfulness, and this is, I'm searching match all or match any. Let's just say match all, match any. Title or content contains the term mindfulness, right? And what I want is I want perform these actions. So new articles with the term mindfulness in the title are going to be sent to an email address. Look at that. And I'm going to put my address, and I can save this rule, right? So what's happened now is that anytime an article that conforms to that particular rule, it's going to be emailed to me. How great is that? Okay, I think that's a pretty good overview of RSS. So you're using an application to track information, right? To manage the inflow of information, and you're consuming a vast amount of information very quickly. So not many people know how to do this. It's a game changer, right? In an environment where having information results in power, right? There's an advantage to having a lot of information. So, if you're an informed person, you're certainly going to be making better decisions. And in an information context, when you're competing with peers, and when you're being asked to keep abreast, stay up to date in certain topic spaces, this is a fantastic way to do it. And it really doesn't require much. You just have to know, I see an RSS icon. That's of interest to me, this particular. So you could start out with 10, as simple as 10 publications. Now, I included something called an OPML file. And what it does, you'll see it in the Blackboard weekly area. And it includes a number of sites. So if you wanted to get started, what you could do is you could go up to the preference pane, and then typically there's an area where you can import and export your files. So it just structures an outline of the different feeds that you're subscribing to. So if you wanted to, you could choose the file in Blackboard and you could import it. That would be an easy way to start, right? Now, what I also recommend doing is monitoring this over the course of a number of days. So jump into a tool, or jump into a folder rather, and process process those files. Hit B, putting them in the background. Hit Y if you integrated the Pocket Reader. If you look at this H, the keyboard shortcuts, there are a variety of things that you can do with this particular feed reader. But the most important of which is you're just processing content, right? You're processing a vast amount of content very quickly, right? It's all in reverse chronology, so you're getting information that's quite timely. But keep in mind, garbage in, garbage out, right? Protect your attention, right? Only subscribe to things that you deem to be significant, right, in your respective areas of interest. Now, some of it could be fun, right? A little shucking and jiving, so to speak. And then others could be, very important, very significant to ways that you want to perceive what's important to you in the future, right? So this is great, right? So I hope you had fun with this. I certainly have fun with RSS, and it's another tool in your tool belt, right? So we're thinking of tool belt literacy, and if you understand deep web resources, if you understand how to approach Google, next week we're going to look at Zotero. Oh, it's another fantastic tool. But this week we're looking at RSS, and you have a variety of readers. This is but one reader. This is but one, but I think it's a fantastic way to focus your info attention, your information attention, right? And we can consume a lot, right? We consume a lot. It's like having a glass of water, having a drink of water rather, through a fire hose, right? So I hope that's great. If you have any questions, ask me. I suspect that your experience with Inoreader, it'll be slightly different. I don't know if you'll be able to create a search alert unless you subscribe to an advanced function, but you'll get a sense of what's available to you, right? There's likely will be a bit of advertising in the freeware version, but it is an interesting product. All right, so ask me any questions as they occur to you. And remember, you've got two things this week. You've got this RSS project to look at. So I do want you to have some experience. Touch this for a second, have some experience with this. And then the mindfulness project is also quite interesting, right? And you have different opportunities. You can install an app, right? You can work from a piece of paper, but it's something again that I want you to consider seriously in this week's work. So we've got 2 weeks this week. Next week we're going to wrap up with Zotero and the final project. All right. Take care. Thank you much.